Okay, we are
Cool.
alive.
Cool.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening, people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
today only we have two of us here,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And shout out for Tristan because he's in uh what do you call it?
He's actually
Choir
he's actually
contest.
yeah he's actually doing a singing competition. He's part of choir.
Yeah,
So hope he wins this time. You go, Tristan.
yeah. Go get it.
So let's go through our usual thing.
Yep,
First, let's talk about events.
yep. What is
So
going
what
to
we have
happen?
yeah, what's going to happen? So the next thing that happened is on 13 November we have a DevOps Malaysia meetup at iProperty.
Yeah.
So that happens on 13 November from 7 p.m. Then after that, if you're in Penang, there's actually a Ruby meetup.
On the same
Actually,
day in Penang, from 7:30 to 9:30, there's a Ruby Tuesday plus JavaScript Penang.
yeah. So if you're in Penang, visit them, say hi,
Yeah,
and give them some love.
yeah.
So today we're going to test another new format. Actually, we steal I'm going to just call it Bus Corner because I literally steal the content from Engineers Mind. So the Engineers Mind Malaysia they actually had a corner called the Bus Corner where they share some of the coolest things they discovered online.
Latest
So some of the
buzzes.
cool thing that we discovered here is actually Neuron. Neuron is actually a VS Code extension for data science. So
Okay.
previously, you usually do your data science work using Jupyter Notebook on Python. That's pretty much it that I know of. But nowadays, you can actually use Visual Studio Code if you prefer. For my first look, they actually use card-based interface. So have you tested?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't do anything. But it seems to be very convenient because you don't need to install extra things. You don't have to run like a iPad notebook server,
Yep,
and you can just evaluate
correct.
on your VS.
So consider it's using Visual Studio Code. It's actually very relatively easy to install without setting new environment, etc. It seems convenient. If any of you guys tried it, leave us in a comment. I would love to know. Then another thing that we discovered is have you heard of sysinternals tools before, Chilia?
No, I never heard of it.
What?
Yes,
Okay,
I start.
sysinternal tools is actually one of
I'm
those
terrible.
Windows-based debugging tools. On Linux, we are so blessed that we have PS, we have Top, we have HTOP, etc. On Windows, you do not have this kind of thing, right? So sysinternals is actually a set of tools.
Oh, sysinternal is actually a Windows thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but on one hand, they provide some of the things that we Linux users provide, like process management and all that on the command line in a convenient way. This is pre-PowerShell days. So without sysinternals, you have to do some magic, but Microsoft do provide some magic for to do, but it's black magic in a way. Sysinternals is something like that, but it's more akin to Linux-based utilities.
Have you tried any of the utilities, internal utilities?
Yeah. So sometimes when Windows have problem like managing some processes, I forget the name. This like sometime back. I use some of their tools to actually diagnose what's the status of the process, kind of kill it, force kill it, memory management. If you're on Windows, internal tools, it's very interesting. But I'm going to share the link soon. So recently, Microsoft have been funding Linux version of sysinternals tools. It's on GitHub.
So sysinternal is actually not an internal, initially not an internal Microsoft product.
No. They actually got it from a third party. I'm not sure whether they buy the company or whatnot, or they adopt it. Because internally they do use these tools, from what I heard. But it used to be a third party thing that they adopted, then they incorporate as a product because the developer joined them.
Okay. That's good.
So it's actually very useful for debugging Windows. And they also go very deeper than your typical Linux tools. It can go pretty deep, which is why the security people sometimes use it for auditing and all that. And they already had recently Microsoft had actually opened up a GitHub repository called Microsoft/prop-dump for Linux. That's the sysintern tools for Linux. I'm not sure what's the status yet. I'm looking forward to it because the tools can be very interesting to use. So this is the two things from Buzz Corners that we picked randomly. You want to show more, tell us more about things that you discovered, join Engineer's Mind, post on Buzz Corner. We will watch it, then we will randomly pick one up. And of course, occasionally, some community member will vote using thumbs up and thumbs down. We also use take that into consideration. So anything else you want to add, Chia?
Nah, nothing.
Okay.
That I know of.
I think I'm just going to do a
if for those people that is considered a fan of S expression languages, like Leaps and Scheme, Chicken Scheme version 5 just released today, so check it out.
Chicken Leaps have been there for some time.
Chicken Scheme, yeah.
Chicken Scheme is there.
Some Leaps purists might argue that Scheme is actually not Leaps, so yeah, be careful.
Okay, interesting. So Emacs eLeaps is Scheme or Leaps?
It's Leaps, eLeaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leaps is one of those weird languages I want to learn. I tried. I mean, I used to know a guy that wrote PHP and Python in a very Leaps way. Interestingly, you can, but it gets unreadable really fast.
That sounds like one of my current colleagues.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So let's move on because today is my toy show. Okay, partly true.
Yeah, toy show. Yeah.
So I spent the weekend set up this guy. So this is actually the Google AI camera. I don't like the fact that you put in a card box, but it's fun to do. So I do not want to turn it off right now because I don't want to open up the box because the way it's plugged right now is that the power is behind the box. Then USB, GPIO, and display. You can put display if you want to because this thing is essentially a Raspberry Pi. It's a Raspberry Pi plus they call it the Vision Bonnet. The Vision Bonnet is actually device. It's a chip from Movidius, recently acquired by Intel. So what does this thing do? So this is actually a device to run your neural network, deep learning neural network. So by default, there comes a model. It's called the emotion detector. I can't get it to work. For example, let's smile. It doesn't do anything because the Raspberry Pi Zero is a little slow. Let me try this again. It should be. Yeah, it's a little slow. When they beep, it will show. Yeah. Unfortunately, also, it doesn't really understand. It gives beep or not beep. I do not understand what it means. I need to read the documentation. Okay. But what it does is it runs your neural network that you define using TensorFlow, then you compile it. So
right now it detects smile.
Yeah. This model detects smile. I read the documentation. You can actually implement your own models, then compile it, bring it to the Raspberry Pi. Because it's a Raspberry Pi, you can use. You can do things like It's just a Raspberry Pi device. You can SSH and upload your Python file. Then you just do your thing there. So this is actually a very interesting device because it makes learning neural network easy. And because it got hardware acceleration, so it make it bearable. So it's actually a bearable, make deep learning, visual-based deep learning a bearable experience. You still cannot compare it using cloud.
What kind of plan do you have for it?
Oh, actually, the story is my friend wanted to get rid of it for reasons about it just because.
Oh, okay.
But I'm learning. Recently, I've been learning deep learning. I mean, seriously, I might went overboard because, let's see, I literally had 3 books on deep learning. So this book had deep learning, except it's the other way around. And this is on Keras, and these are fundamentals.
Did you do any one of online courses before for this, or you jump straight into the hands-on via the book?
I jumped into the book because I don't have patience in courses. So I took a semester course on neural network, old-style neural network. It's very different. So this is a part of a refresher course because I took a semester course in some basic AI before. It's one thing I want to refresh because neural network is one of those very powerful things. Even before the recent deep learning revolution, it had been good enough to do some production work. So, for example, I believe Palm, Palm, they used to have the old style handwriting. It's called graffiti. So on the Palm device, you have to write in a certain character. It's designed to make it easy to recognize, and often I believe that backend is actually a neural network, and a number of people are using neural network for chat recognition, which is why on your chat it's written in a very special way. Because it's not a human are not very good at computer are not very good at recognizing general characters, so you need to write it a very special way for them to be recognized. But think about it, even those days, neural network, they can get like 50%, 60% of the handwriting, normal handwriting. But using it is still hard. It's still a very specialized model. But things get very interesting recently. This is not my first experience using machine learning algorithm. I've been playing around. I have one project, but there's a very weird one, so I don't really count. That you do machine learning project, but I've been dabbling around scikit-learn in the early-ish days, and that is actually a big deal. So, have you used one of those libraries before, Chiliang?
Well, not really. I only used NumPy. I was surprised by the speed.
Yeah. So it used to be you have to use Fortran and all that, and those are low-level languages. And then you got NumPy. Okay, so let's jump back and forth, right? Jump back and forth.
Yeah, it's fine.
So the thing is, a lot of the machine learning algorithm require a lot of maths. As a result, you need to write routines for matrix manipulation. You need to spend time on solving symbolic problem. I do not believe they use that because on NumPy they use some numerical tricks. But you had the whole book. You had numerical algorithm. It's literally a whole book by itself, right? So they need specialized algorithm to write this kind of program in C or Fortran. The textbook, I believe they use Fortran. I could be wrong. I found the book. It's a very old book.
Yeah, it's most likely that then.
Yeah. So it's an old book. It's called Recipe for Numerical Programming. I find I've shared in the show notes. So to do machine learning, it's about maths, and to do that, you need to know mathematics, and you have to use these tricks. It's not the most friendliest thing around, right? Then Python, for some reason, in the mid-90s, the scientific community decided to adopt it as a replacement for MATLAB. MATLAB is not fast. They have some fast algorithm because some component in C++, but it's not really fast. So the scientific community, they got a small group that decided to adopt Python. It's not fast, but
my only memory with MATLAB is that it's very expensive.
Yes, it's also very expensive. So a toolbox is by thousand a license, and a person can use it at a time. Maybe one classroom at a time, so they can make a deal. So it's very expensive for production use. So unless you work in an engineering firm, you can't really afford it. So as a result, for some reason, a small group of scientific community we decided to use NumPy, then start the SciPy project to use Python as part of the toolkit. So this is around the late 90s or so. Then what happened that along the way, they optimized their code. Which is why you got Python much later, but in between they rewrite some component in C and all that, it gets fast enough. And I'm going to there. So it got fast enough for them to actually do work, right? So what happened then is the machine learning guys, the machine learning algorithm is essentially statistical model. In the early days, they use statistics to do their work. So for example, clustering is about, okay, let's start with basic thing, linear regression. It's about drawing straight line or curved line to find model. Those are maths actually. People don't even call it machine learning. It's just regression algorithm. Those are statistical methods, and those things you still can use some optimization. Then clustering is traditionally also a statistical method. It's number intensive, and turns out that the Python community already had a whole set of tools to do this kind of thing. Therefore, somebody decided to implement scikit-learn on it. But so that's a short history of machine learning. Then fast forward, people rediscovered neural networks. So it's still very hard for a computer to actually recognize numbers. So if you can recognize 60% of handwritten numbers, that is awesome. Okay, so it's awesome. 60%, it's very awesome. 70% is a good enough production model. But numbers are not really there until people do it in the lab on supercomputers. I do not think it's supercomputers, but it's big machines. So it still takes a long time. Then until recently, we got GPU. Then things get better. So nowadays, when you do deep learning, even a simple model, you can easily get MNIST is the data set for handwritten numbers. You can easily get 90%.
How do you get the data set? How do you train the handwriting?
So in the 80s, the National Institute of Science and Technology in the US, they collected handwriting from a form. So as a result, the data set, we call it MNIST. So it's a standard data set used by it's a standard data science used by neural networks to actually teach. It's a simple data set. You have 0 to 9 handwritten. The goal is to actually recognize number, and it's written by all sort of ways. So until 2010s or so, it's still unsolved. It's still a very hard problem to solve. People know that neural network can work, but neural network is very slow because of the matrix manipulation and all that. Then people discovered they can do it in GPU, then boom. So MNIST is one of those very interesting data set. Then people move on to do cat and dog, right? So, but even though the technique is different, scikit-learn covers a lot of technique. But one of the cool thing about scikit-learn, okay, so I go back to scikit-learn. How does neural network scikit-learn related? Scikit-learn had a whole set of library, but it doesn't have deep neural network. You have neural network, but not deep neural network. Deep neural network thing. But here's the best thing. Here's the thing that blows my mind, seriously. Both TensorFlow, Keras, and scikit-learn share the same API. So,
on purpose? Did they design that on purpose?
I believe no. Actually, so I think scikit-learn started it first. Then, because most of the machine learning API uses the same using the scikit-learn API, they decided to use on top of that. Because scikit-learn had a lot of algorithm for you to use, but they actually have three functions that you need to know, or methods. Depends who you call. You need to feed, you need to train, then you need to predict. Feed in the data set, train it, and predict. These three things. And as a result, even TensorFlow use somewhat the same API signature. They might use it like dot feed underscore whatever to speed things up, but the idea is this is the same, the three step, which is a very big deal because you got a standardized API for you to actually do machine learning, right? But unfortunately, here's the catcher. You still need to do data engineering. Even traditional machine learning, you need to remove some field and all that. In deep learning, you still need to resize your photo, fetch more photo for cats and dogs, for example. MNIST is almost 10,000 pictures. No, 30,000 pictures. This combined training.
Handwriting.
Yeah. No, it's actually pictures. It's literally pictures of
handwriting. So if you're going to train the model of cats and dogs, where do you get the pictures from?
I go back to that. I go back to what you can do after that.
Okay.
But you need a lot of data, right? But so here's the question: where do you get data? The short answer is if you're doing homework, you'll do it. It depends. If you do it, open data set had enough. Scikit-learn comes with a whole data set of different things. They got data set for flowers, but there's a column of data. They have data set for MNIST. That's the handwriting one. Then you got the Boston data set. This column. The Boston house is to predict your house prices. Those data set is in the thousands. And if you install Scikit-learn, you will get it. You will actually get the data set. Then another one is you can use they had other data set you can find on Google, but Google and try to find open data set for machine learning. They got a whole repository for it. I will add that to the show notes. So those actually had data sets from across the field. They got a face data set. You got cats and dogs. You got someone shared the data set on clothes. It's called Fashion MNIST. So it's actually pictures of dresses, which you can use to predict convolutional neural networks. So open data set is one of those things that doesn't, they got very comprehensive things they can do with it. And those doesn't necessarily get incorporated into Scikit-learn or Keras or TensorFlow. Yeah,
I thought
TensorFlow and Keras have their own data set.
I'm not so familiar with this thing, but isn't Keras something like based on TensorFlow?
Yeah. So TensorFlow is actually, Keras is actually more like a front end. They have their own backend, but you primarily use it as a front end for different libraries. So one of the commonly used one is Keras. It's used as a front end for TensorFlow. But you can also use it for Torch. You can also use it for Tiano. They got multiple libraries you can use. Keras will adopt to it. Depends on the library you install. Of course, you can configure it. But even that, they will come with some data set for you to use. So the last place you can find your data set is just for learning. It's actually from Kaggle. You heard of Kaggle?
Yeah, it's the machine learning challenge.
Correct. So when you join the challenge, you will get the data set. So for example, I've been hyped about doing cats and dogs. There is actually one of the challenge from a few years back on Kaggle, but they still allow you to download the data set to use. The thing is, Kaggle do not require you to share the source code of your model. So as a result, you do not necessarily see a source code of the models. But some people do share their technique. It's a good place for you to learn machine learning things. And they do not actually limit to neural networks. So for example, people use a concept called XGBoost. It's actually boosting decision trees. But deep learning is one of those techniques commonly used. Of course, you got Kaggle is one of those places you should really explore if you're into machine learning, even though you're not learning deep learning.
So for a person that want to start machine learning or deep learning, what sort of resources do you recommend them?
Okay, so here's the thing. I go to the unusual part, but I know a lot of my peers that got good result learning from who's the from Andrew Ng's courses online.
Yeah, I did that too.
So a lot of my peers found it useful.
I also just in case for the some people that didn't know, I think there's the very famous machine learning course from Andrew Ng.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, you used to need to use GNU Octave.
Yes, correct.
I think they actually updated a version with where they do everything in Python.
Yes, because those days when Octave is still a valid alternative to
because it's a MATLAB alternative.
MATLAB, correct. For some time back, people still do it in MATLAB. Machine learning is still a MATLAB thing until they go to production by cost and all that. People just move to Python. It just happens. It just happens. Then, for some reason, Python is the first class citizen for machine learning thing. I do not know when that happened, but it happens. So yeah, the source of data source. So here's the problem. You want to do your own project, then what? Things get complicated because you need to get your own data set. Remember that I said that each of the data set is in the thousands. Even the cats and that I use, the data set is in 10 of thousands. To train them, you need like few thousand at a time. So you need to set your expectation right. But here's what I think in the future. In the future now, I do not believe you should train your neural network from scratch. We are on the stage where there's ready-made machine learning to be used, model to be used.
Can you expand on them? A beginner question, can you expand on the previous model that you acquired from the internet?
Okay. Yes. So this is what we call, the technique for this is actually called, let me dig up the book. Wait, okay, here you are. Transfer learning, that's a term. So remember that your neural network is actually in layers, right? Layers. So what you do is, what they actually do is they remove the output layer and only keep the learn layers. So in this case, they learn a pattern. Let me share. Let me see if I can show the books. It's relevant. I'll show you. Okay, here you are. Okay, so okay, so can you see here? So what happened is, this is, okay, never mind, I'll just show you. This is the full model. No, this is the full original model image.
Yeah.
So they remove the output, preserve everything before, then you add your output layer for what you want to predict. So in this book, what they do is they use what we call the VGG60 model. That is actually a model to predict general object, more than cat and dog. So it's actually used to predict like 16 class of objects, I think. So of cars, dogs, balls, and all that. So what happened is you had to know, Keras actually a function that allows you to remove the head, that only keep the relevant, then you plug in your thing, plug in your machine learning models. So yes, you can, the short answer is yes, you can use on top of that to train some smaller thing. But a better idea for this is to look at you should go to a page called Model Zoo, right? Model Zoo. Model Zoo, blah blah blah. Let me open up, let me share my screen.
I have a question from Kak.
Yeah.
He asks, is reversible learn layer in it's already practical in production, or is that just still a theory?
Wait, let me understand this. Let me understand the question again.
It's let me read it out verbatim. Is this already in practice, or reusable learn layer is still in theory?
It's usable in practice, but you almost always read it on papers in Google. But I'm going to show you a link right now. I think it shows potential. Oh, here you are. Screen share. No. Application. Let me pull up first, because otherwise they're going to confuse the hell out of screen share. No, application window. Oh, interesting. They can't share. Damn it.
Yeah, the inception.
Okay, can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to show you one thing that I really want to try out right now. It's called Mass RCNN. Here's why I think there is potential right now. So this is an example where they actually do use their own data set to actually, even though it's balloon, but they use the existing model to train it to identify balloon. So the short answer is, I believe it's coming soon, very soon, and you can actually use it now. But it's not on a layer where you can import is cat, then use it as a function. Do you understand this part?
But you can, to rephrase it, but you can import this, and I can train more models. Can I do that?
Yeah. This is precisely what this web page does.
Okay.
ARMA CNN are meant to isolate different objects and identify the object being isolated. But they don't have all class of object, but they have enough general piece of object. So what this does is they use ARMA CNN, then use it to train to identify only balloons. Then the same model is also used to actually recognize map. I do not remember where I saw it, but so see here, this is why I'm going to show this. This is a model from Facebook. It's little old, but they already use this for OpenStreetMap image. So yes, you can actually do it or use it already. It's just that people don't share it that much. Do you understand this part?
Yeah.
So yes, I think the potential is really there, and you can use it if you spend some time on it. It's just that you can't do it like it's not a level where you can do things like is cat, is dog, is on OpenStreetMap. There's no library that by default tells you it is school, is field, etc. Not yet. We're not on the level where we use it like our common library yet, but it's very close. So this is actually that is my next thing. Actually, I want to. So the book actually covers the basics of using convolutional neural network, but the thing I really want to explore is actually things in Model Zoo, particularly using ARMA CNN or something similar. There's actually an update for Mass CNN, but the idea for that is I want to use this for. Actually, it's mostly for my hobby project. I want to identify schools in Malaysia or shop lot in Malaysia on Google Street Map. And whatnot. It's just interesting to me.
Okay. Just using the image.
Yeah. That model is actually for image only. You still have to spend your effort to engineer your data. So it's not an easy thing yet, but it's getting there. It's comparable to your big project now. not big like your normal web application project. You still have to do some customization, but underneath it, you still use the library to use lah. I hope I don't confuse you guys.
Yeah, not that. Yeah, it's actually big things pretty clear for me.
Yeah. But it's getting there now. So like your web application, you still need to engineer your data. In this case, you design database, you organize your data and whatnot. Currently, to use the existing model, you still need to collect data. You still need to massage your data, then you feed to it. Then output into an object. So in the web development, you might use it to cook up a API, then put in the application. In neural network, you come out with some output and put it in integrate it with another application. So it's somewhat on the level of a custom web application.
I hope I can see this soon, so you can demo to us on DevKami.
Yeah. So chances is I'm going to use this to do cat and dogs again.
How about cat dogs?
Oh yeah, so you can actually do cat and dogs already.
Oh, so is that an exception or?
No, cats and dogs is a solved problem, which is why nowadays it's a homework problem for everyone. So I get like 90%. I hope I can share this again, but it's going into Inception right now. Can we share application window? I can show application
yeah, you
window.
can.
Okay, let me pull up my Tumblr. Silly. Just because, all right? Just because. Where is it? Tumblr. Model Zoo. Okay, here you are. So this is actually one layer of this, but I should share a better graph, but it's boring. But the short answer is you can actually, this is actually a homework problem. I use some customized network that use it. It's a 5-layer conversion network that use it to actually identify cats and dogs. It's already done lah. It's still a homework problem. So put it this way. So yeah. So anything else you want to know about deep learning?
Not that I know of right now.
So my next step is to import the model into this guy.
So you can recognize, like, whenever you see a dog, it will beep.
Yeah, beep 2 times, cat 3 times, anything else, whatever.
Yeah. Can we see it next week?
Maybe not. I'm in between career change, so I need to, and I have been procrastinating for. Turns out that I forget to do PyCon finance this year. So unfortunately, because I've been playing on this so much, I forget to do that. I need to do those before I can continue on. But I think things get really interesting for other reasons. TensorFlow JS, have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've seen it in action, actually.
Yes, some people make some model out of it. I find it interesting because you can import the model in front end.
Not so much on training, but by using the model, it's actually pretty powerful.
Correct. So what use case? I have no idea yet. I don't have a strong idea what's the use case yet. I have some stupid use case, but that's for fun. But for front end, it's interesting. So one of the new concepts is called edge computing. A similar idea, you push your computing to the edge. We used to just call edge computers, but damn kids. But the idea is essentially they got very good reason for it. So for example, let's say your CCTV. Often you do not want your kid's photo to be on the cloud.
Yeah.
So pushing neural network on the edge is a great idea. The problem is your local node is not the most secure thing around. So that's another story. But it makes things like GDPR easier because you're limiting your data set on your computer or whatever computer devices or what these guys call it edge devices is. So in this case, then in theory, it should not be data leak. So TensorFlow JS allows for potentially that kind of use case, but I could be wrong. So which is why I find it interesting for me. But because partly I'm a privacy nerd, I'm not really that private, but I believe people should have the right of privacy. And pushing TensorFlow.js or these devices where they run neural network out without relying on the cloud, to me this is really interesting because machine learning for a long time relies on the cloud, right? It relies on the cloud. This allows people to have some form of privacy, which I think is awesome. But that's just me. So anything else you want to know? Any question online about machine learning thing? Hello? Okay, I think Chilyang is off. Am I off? Interesting. Okay, with that said, I think we're going to wait for Chilyang for a while. I need to see what happened with him. All right. So I think I'm done now. I think. Am I presenting? I'm presenting. Okay. And that's it. I think I'm done today lah. So thanks for listening. And I'm going off now. What happened with Chilyang? Whoop. I should not do that. How do I stop it? Oh, turns out that I'm not in control. Oh. Okay, home network got disconnected. So I'm done now. Now I need to figure out how do I. Oh crap. Okay. I'm still presenting. Okay. Give me a while. Okay, so I'm pretty much done now. Let me see if I can find questions. Is there a question online? How do I see it? Oh, okay, I know how. I know how. Okay. I'm on the wrong channel. Blah, blah, blah. DVD. La 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 la. Switch account. DevKami. Then. Okay. Hold on. No. Which is too good. Oh yeah, so for a few things, this is a very good book. I will put on the share link. This is actually a very good book for machine learning. Keras. This is the best explanation for standard models, but it doesn't cover reinforcement learning.
Hey, I'm back again.
Oh, you're back. Good. Okay, so final thing.
But I'm running on 3G right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to cover these 3 books, then I'm going off. Deep Learning in Python. This is a very good book for basic of machine learning, deep learning. Highly recommend this. This is just Keras. This book got very good fundamentals. I do not know how to flip my screen. I'm sorry, but this one covers a lot of fundamentals, but not a lot of code. So I recommend this to learn the fundamentals, but if you're not into maths, I'm sorry, not a book for you, but this covers reinforcement learning and convolutional neural network, but not GAN, so general adversarial network. This is also basic thing, covers reinforcement learning, TensorFlow. I use TensorFlow, but this is good because it covers the basic of machine learning. So for example, it covers your basic SVM, the old style network, not just a deep learning model. So I recommend this book. And also this book also covers things like grid search. How do you search the best model of best parameter for old style machine learning model? So this 3 book, I highly recommend it. And finally, this book, Introduction to Machine Learning with Python. Occasionally, you will see this book on sale in, what's the name? Humble Bundle. This book is very good because it covers all the basic. This book is more of a library-like book. So you use this as to find the right model you want to use for your project. But this doesn't cover TensorFlow. But nonetheless, this is the 4 book I recommend. And that's it. I think I'm done now. Lah. So, Chilang, anything else before we stop?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, so with that said,
I'm actually sorry, folks. I'm actually having some internet connection issues.
Yes.
Right now. So.
I think the next thing I need to do is I need to flip my screen next week.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
so, any plan? Do we have any plan for next week? Anything? Or even the surprise?
We owe everybody the Rubicon special.
Yeah.
We figured that out. It's possible that we might take a Christmas holiday in December, but let's see how we.
Yeah.
Let's see how. Yeah. Let's see.
We'll probably have a special for that.
Yeah. Where we ask you guys to give us gift.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Yeah, but that said, I think we figure out around that time. So I think you should still wait for the Rubicon special. We still release it, but otherwise, let's see how. We run on a 1-week sprint, so we have no idea what comes next week.
Yeah, surprise, folks.
Yes. So, and that's it. Thanks for hearing me rumbling around.
So I'm gonna stop the podcast. Bye.